How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, just chilling,
Fifth,
Live.
fifth fittest man on earth.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good, right?
It sounds really good.
I'll take
Um,
that.
have you have you been like invited to loads of parties and stuff since you? Do you wear
Yeah,
do you wear a t-shirt? Do you wear a t-shirt around that says fifth?
it's actually Jason Hopper. Anytime he talks to me, he only refers to me as the fifth fittest man on earth. He won't say my name. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, he he
So
he does a good job reminding me.
do you do the same thing with him? He might not find that as funny as.
It's not as funny. No, we'll give it a few more months.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny and endearing when he does it, but if you do it, it'd probably be bullying. It's
A
like
bit a
punching
bit
down.
harsh. A bit harsh.
Yeah, yeah.
Too soon.
Where are you now? Are you in Florida or where?
Yeah, still in Naples. We're actually headed home tomorrow, back home to see family. But yeah, in Naples right now.
Cool. Where's home again?
Utah, and then my wife's from Wyoming, so some of her family's up there. So we'll bounce back and forth.
Okay. Wyoming, that's like big ranch country, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is Yellowstone there? No.
Parts of Yellowstone's in Wyoming. Yeah.
Okay. All of my geographical knowledge of America comes from either TV shows or where are CrossFitters from.
Yes. I mean that's the first thing. Because she lived in Wyoming and then spent a year in Montana before she moved to Utah. And anytime it's like Wyoming and Montana, it's like, wait, is Yellowstone there? Like is it like the TV show? Like,
Yeah. Does Kevin
every
Kevin
time.
Co- Kevin Costner live beside you? Does he live there?
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you do about all those fights that happen at that ranch? Do you just stay away from that ranch? Um, there- there's a question, Barbara Spin. Is Dallin wearing American Eagle? Congrats on that deal. That's huge.
Yeah, it was super cool. I'm currently not wearing American Eagle,
You're failing,
but I just left the gym, so no.
and that's the end of
You
the
could you
deal.
could squat in those jeans though. They're nice. But
How did that come about? Because are they just kind of branching into that, and then you guys were identified, or how did that happen?
yeah, I guess like shout out. I think Alex Smith has been with them for a little bit, and he's done some stuff to try and get him in the space. And I was lucky enough; he reached out to me a few months ago and asked if I was interested, and we're able to put something together.
Alex Smith reached out to you.
Yeah, so
Oh,
he
that's
was
cool.
the. I think I don't really know to what extent, but he had like some say in who he thought would be a good fit, and it might work. And so
That's
yeah.
cool. Um, and then I assume James James was added in as like a typo, or there just must have been a mistake.
Yeah, just Alex Smith closed his eyes and he just went through a
Yeah, yeah.
list of it. And it's like, oh,
He's,
James, all
he sent James a DM being like, "Hey, can you tell Dallin to check his DMs?" And James misunderstood, and Alec didn't have the heart to tell him. He's just like, "Yeah, okay, you can come too. You can bring your
Oh
friend."
man.
Um, that's cool though, because that's like you love to see, you know, those kind of non-CrossFit brands sponsoring things because like it means there's growth there. It means that there's
Yeah.
outside investment rather than just like milking the same companies or the same company sponsoring everyone, which is fine and it has its place and everything. But once you see those outside, like, is it Madrid Championships next week have like Braun are sponsoring them? I don't know if they're in America, but they make like toothbrushes and washing machines and shit.
Oh,
And I was like, that's
that's
cool that
sick.
it's an outside company.
Yeah, like I think even with the games this year, like there was a couple outside companies. I know like G-Shock, for example, the watches.
Yeah.
I know that's like a fitness thing, but they aren't like niche CrossFit brand, and so I think it's just as exciting when athletes are getting these deals with non-CrossFit companies as competitions, like you mentioned. I think it's exciting for the sport and the fans and the athletes especially. Like I think we can all benefit from it, so keep growing.
Hmm. Um, Yeah, Odd says my geographical knowledge actually comes from the Brian Friend World Tour. Well, that would be two states and Finland. So I don't know. I don't think my geographical tour or my geographical knowledge comes from that.
The depth of knowledge is
Um,
small.
it's my knowledge is actually very small in fairness. Um, so you're in Miami now until tomorrow. Like, have you been? So after the games, do you just do nothing? Like, what is your like? Do you just kick back and relax for like 2 weeks and then just gradually start adding in bits you want to do, or how does it work?
Yeah, so this year, we actually ended up in Cancun the weekend after the games to celebrate Fee and Al. They got
Oh
married.
yeah.
So a bunch of us are out there, and then obviously all their friends and family. So we spent a few days out there just relaxing, eating as much food as I could until I couldn't because I think I drank the water on accident. And
Oh
that was,
shit.
yeah, it was 2, 3 rough days there, but we survived. We made it through. Um, and then just not really working out for 2 weeks. We hit the 2 week mark and started like moving a little bit just to for my sanity, honestly, just like
Hmm.
trying to be healthy, get outside. And then this week we've started picking up like actual CrossFit. And first time I touched a barbell was Monday, and we're working below 60% on everything. So it's just gradually taking it in to let my body do what it wants.
Because I've spoken to a few people who are like, there's a lot of competitions on and stuff, and people who aren't doing any of the competitions or aren't doing them seriously are basically not doing CrossFit. They're doing like a proper off season of like, I'm just gonna do loads of strength or whatever. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, you're doing Rogue, right?
If I get an invite in the mail this week, then I will be accepting.
Okay, well, we assume your invite is coming. But you never know, I guess, with Rogue. Um, but then how do you structure that then? Do you do like, okay, I've taken time off, now I'll do my off season, but maybe a couple of weeks beforehand I'll ramp stuff up and then do another off? Like, it's kind of tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, so like last year I took a full month off, so 4 weeks of I didn't even step foot in the gym, and I got 2 of those weeks after the games, and ideally I'll just put 2 or 3 of those weeks after Rogue as well, um, and like I don't think anyone quite trains for Rogue the same way as the games. Obviously, I'm going to
Yeah.
show up and I'm going to be prepared. Am I going to be as fit as the games? Probably not. That's okay, but yeah, I think I'll just like split it and like the heavy end of the off season, like take time off, will occur after in November that time, and then real off season training will start there, where I'm just completely focused on weaknesses and that type of thing.
Okay. There's less of those now, though, right? Less weaknesses.
Yeah, we're slowly closing the gap, but there's still a few that I have a feeling I'll be working on for a lot of years.
What do you think they are?
Upper body pressing and running.
Okay. Is running a weakness, or an area of concern? Because like I can't imagine you're neglectful of it. Like, why do you think there's like still work to do? Is that not one of the easier ones to fix because you can just
Yeah,
go
that's
out and
what.
run?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's definitely the approach we've taken. It is the easier one to fix. I ran more last year than I had any other year, and I got better for sure. So we saw a lot of improvement, but we're just going to take a little bit different approach with it and try some different things this year to see if we can get better a little more exponentially and quicker.
Okay. And is that all in house? Is that all Brute that do that, or do they bring in? The way
Uh,
Hinshaw goes to some people and stuff.
yeah, like we're working with all these other people. Like we've spoken to Hinshaw a lot and like picked his brain, get ideas, and actually Matt and I was worked with Hinshaw back when I was a teen, so I know Matt and Hinshaw have spoken a lot and share a lot of the same knowledge, and so we're still asking him questions, picking his brain. There's a couple other people within the circle that we just bounce ideas off of and see what works and what doesn't.
Was Matt your coach when you were a teenager?
So the very first year in 2017, it was just my affiliate owner. Um, Grateful for him to teach me how to do basics. But then starting 2018, Matt was my coach. So he coached me 2 years in the teenage division.
That's really cool. I
Yeah.
saw someone said here when you mentioned G Shock, Allegra said G Shock is an old school CrossFit band. Back in 2009, 2011, they were big in CrossFit. Yeah, Dallin wasn't born. That's the problem there.
Still learning how to read.
Yeah, he couldn't read a watch. He was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, he was trying to feed his Tamagotchi or whatever. Um, did Okay, so that's cool then. So Matt was coaching you then, all the way up. So that's really cool. Like, Do you feel additional loyalty to him then? Like additional is it um obviously things are going well, so like
Yeah,
it's probably easy to be like, oh, like why change it? It's not broken. But
yeah.
like the fact that he's coached you and brought you from a teenager into the adult, and like you obviously had that, like, would you have called it like, did you trust the process during that downtime, like that period where you didn't make the transition? Did you trust the process, or was there frustration there of like, oh, I've been winning all the time and now I can't even get in?
Yeah, I guess I'll answer the first part first, and we'll work into the second part. I think Matt and I both have the utmost respect for one another and appreciation for one another. Um, I truly believe he's one of the best coaches in the game, and we've been together so long, but since day one, we're very similar in the way we think, and like I can almost guess what he's going to program for the day, or like how he's going to, what's the word, progress a progression or a
Yeah.
stimulus that we want to achieve, and it's just worked so well. But we can also like uh, be straight with each other when it's like, hey, maybe we need some help in this area, and we can like reach out to somebody, and we're both not afraid to do that. So I think that's a huge part of it, where it's not just like,
If you can predict his progression, you don't need him then.
yeah, I can do everything on my own. See, that's what
Yeah.
people say, like, you don't need to train in person. I'm like, no, the amount of adjustments and things we do on the fly or in the middle of workouts to achieve the stimulus we're looking for and get the most out of training is happening daily. And if we
What would
were,
that be? So say you're doing I don't know, like some kind of workout and there's wall balls in it. Would that be as minute as him saying do sets of 10 instead of whatever, or go these unbroken? Would it be that kind of thing in the next round or whatever?
yeah, like it could be exactly that, and we're setting goals for pieces, or like say we're falling apart or absolutely crushing an interval piece. Um, he'll add rest, take rest away throughout the workout that we originally, it wasn't written that way, but to get the effect that we're looking for, he's changing it as we're doing the workout if needed.
That's
And I think that's crucial to like both mentally and physically. Like if there's a workout that's just slightly over programmed and we're getting smashed, it doesn't do anything good physically or mentally, and we're just like digging ourselves a hole. So.
that's cool. And then is it sorry, so the second part I asked like a really long question.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
no,
there's
I
two
remember what you
questions
said.
in it. Um,
Uh,
it was it frustrating then that like were you, because I remember we spoke before, so the last time we spoke was like fucking 5 years ago.
it's like
um
COVID, right?
yeah, and it was you had just finished as a teenager and you hadn't
Hmm.
qualified yet.
Yeah.
um and you, at the time, I remember you were very like um and we kind of spoke a bit about this in Madison a bit, but I felt like you were kind of saying like, here's what know I should say to this question. So I was like, oh, how are you finding, the transit? You were like, oh, I just have to trust the process. And, like that
Yeah.
was your kind of shtick that you're going with. Was that accurate? Or were you frustrated that you didn't jump straight away? Did you kind of anticipate that?
Yeah, I was definitely frustrated. Like I went from like winning and dominating, and I knew it was coming, but it's still like kind of a gut check where it's like you got to figure out why you're doing this, what you want out of the sport, and what you really want like from your life at that point, and figuring out what direction you want to go. But yeah, like I understood that if I wanted to make the jump, I did. Like, it's cliche, but you did have to trust the process, even if it was frustrating at
Mm.
times. But yeah, I think so. I finished up my last year of teenage games in 2019. I started my senior year that year, and I was graduating in 2020 from high school. COVID hit in March. I was actually at Atlas Games when it hit, and I never went back to high school because everything shut down.
Woo!
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I was like, I I did most of my stuff. No, let me rephrase. I was far enough ahead in school that like I only went every other day, so I was just like uh, training and stuff. Yeah, um, you can do things the right way. But yeah, it was like that 2020 year where there was no competitions, and I think it actually benefited me in a way because it gave me like some time to really figure out what I wanted to do, because that's a hard and stressful transition where like I was going to school in the fall at Utah State, and like I need to make money, and for me to do something, I'm gonna go all in on whatever I'm doing. And so I wanted to go to school, and I was gonna get like a double major in engineering and business. And but then there was also the part of me that wanted to compete in CrossFit. And as a teen, you're not really making any money, and you don't know what opportunities come from that. And so I was like really in this big decision. And then I also there was no competition, so I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do and go all in on. And eventually, I got connected with Cooper, and I kind of saw that there was a way to make a living. And I actually also continued like my own programming business to keep making money and kind of keep the dream alive. And I think I'm talking in circles a little bit, so hopefully I'm answering this
No.
question.
I like
But
it. I like it. No, I
um,
like it. So when you like those initial conversations with Cooper, were you on your own with those, or your parents with you? How does that work?
yeah, it was with my parents. It was actually a little before I went to school, but it was with my parents because I was like not even 18 at the time.
And did Cooper come to you, or was it vice versa?
Actually, I was talking with ESC with Harry um, right after the games, and they wanted to help me out and support me, and so I just kind of like did a little deal with them on my own. And Harry was super kind and just like looking out for me since day one, and actually connected me with Cooper. So
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because like that's the thing. One of the things I was actually just looking at your Instagram page. Let's see if I can pull it up. I'm really shit at doing this. This is why Savan has a Caleb. Um,
yeah,
but I was looking at your Instagram page, and like, there's a fine line. I think. Can you see that? Yeah.
yeah,
There's a fine line between having like too many brands, or like just becoming like, say, swapping out to say like you have, I don't know, Escape or ESC sounds there, and you swap that out and put in like Beats, and then after
yeah.
another couple of months you swap that out and put in. But like all of these ones that are here have either been with you since just after like you made the jump up to, you've been with ESE, like you mentioned, like since way back. I've
hmm
seen you talking about Airwave for a long time. You're one of the first big My Protein athletes, and you still are. Do you know what I mean? Innovate, like I remember Fury talking about you ages ago. Like these are all
yeah.
deals that have been there a long time, and you're not like swapping out. Oh, I'm with like like where the fuck have Beam gone? Where what happened to them? They've just
Yeah,
vanished. And like
yeah,
now you're not just swapping out Beam for like whatever the next thing is
yeah,
to make book. Like so I noticed that earlier on. I just wanted to compliment you on it, that you obviously have like brand loyalty, which is good, and which
yeah,
transfers over to people like me who look at it and say, all right, well, ESC have supported him since day one. He obviously likes them because he's still using it, so I'll order a pair of ESE head, or well, Harry gave me a pair, but the point remains.
yeah,
I
yeah. So yeah, and I think
oh,
yeah, I
there he
think
is.
that's hard when people.
There's Harry now.
Hey, what's up, Harry? It's I personally, I can't speak for everybody. I personally don't take like these deals that I'm doing lightly. Like I want it to uh, not just be like completely transactional with these companies. Like I want to create relationships, and I want like because I'm still growing in the sport, and some of these companies I signed with originally were new. Like I want to grow together, and
Yeah,
I want to make it more than just like a business thing. So I am careful, and Cooper does a great job. Like we discussed, like we'll have someone reach out, and it's just like, oh, it's just not the right fit, or it's not really what we're looking for, and um, what we're trying to do. And so I don't take that lightly, and I think creating long term relationships is important.
hmm. There's a flip side to that as well. I'll just leave Barry's comment up. There's a flip side to people who
Hey,
are like untransactional, and people who are transactional with their.
hey, I will say, uh, I mean money talks. Like if Brooke can go cash a check, then good for her. And I have
Yeah,
nothing against that. And I would probably do the same thing if Snickers reached out. So
yeah. Snickers are shit though, but apart from that, maybe someone
they
else.
have a what? They got like a protein version now. Is that what it was?
Yeah, like a protein. It's like we get. Do you get like sliced pan? Like a loaf of bread, and it's like
Yeah.
pre-sliced or whatever. We get those, and I remember. Oh, it must have been about a year and a half ago. There was like this big advertisement of like protein, like high protein bread, and I was like, how much protein can they put in? Like, surely bread has a fairly set list of
Yeah.
ingredients. Like, and I went and looked, and it was like per slice on the protein bread, the level of protein was the same as per slice on the non-protein. Like, they
No,
literally said,
yeah.
like, oh, it's really high in protein. That's like, it's not at all. But
It's
yeah,
like there's those I'm sure there's like lines where like they're able to advertise something and they realize they were above it, so like let's just slap this on here.
yeah. It's like, oh, now it's super high in like oxygen, and it's like just in it's because it's in the
Yeah.
wrapper. Um, Yeah, that's cool though. That is something that I admire in athletes though, when they don't, because it is hard. Like you're saying, you're in college and you're like, or you're starting school and you're like, oh, like I need money coming in, and then it's like it can be, it's a delicate balance between like having money coming in and having like your finances looking healthy and like helping you go to where you need to go, but then
Yeah.
also being like, well, I can't just take absolutely everything that just comes at me, because it's just you're on a hide into nothing. And the brands that come to you then will be like, well, fuck this guy. He's got like 25 sponsors that
Yeah.
aren't getting what he's promised them already. So why are we going to be the
Yes.
26th?
Yeah, because like I mean, yeah, you nailed it right there. Just like there's requirements and things we got to do for each of the sponsors throughout the year and that type of stuff, and you can definitely get bogged down and um, along with like people don't like to talk about it, but like creating content and being on social media is a huge part of this job. Like
Mm.
that's where we're at in the sport, and you want to give people something that they enjoy to consume content wise. And if every single post is something for a sponsor, like people get bored of that. So
Yeah.
you got to find that balance.
Do you do your own content? Do you manage your own social media?
I manage my own social media and like obviously all the professionals and content creators out there that I work with to create the content. Like they're tagged in whatever they've made, but I do the posting and responding and all of that.
How do you find that? Do you set aside time in the day, or do you just do it ad hoc?
Uh, I go through phases where I'm like, all right, this is when I do this, and then other times it's like, oh, I should probably post something, and so I figure it out at whatever point I have time in the day or whenever
Yeah.
feel like doing it around training. So.
Yeah, the main reason I asked that is because you followed me yesterday, and I was like, "Oh my god, Dallin followed me," and I was like, "No wait,
I,
that could just be like some guy who manages his account." I was like, "I
That's
better
actually
follow."
I feel like I followed you. Do I follow like your personal page? Because I swear I've seen your stuff. I see your
Oh,
stuff all the time on, or maybe it's like collab posts. I'm like, so I apologize. I should have been following you like 5 years ago.
oh, my page is shit down. I wouldn't. You're going to unfollow me by the end of the week. I wouldn't overthink it. My personal page is funny. So there was someone, I can't remember who it was, but someone recently followed my personal page, and I was like, "Oh man, you're going to be disappointed." Like, if I look, my last post on my personal page, pretty sure it was in 2020. Yeah, 4th of April 2020 was the
There we
last thing.
go.
The last thing I put up. Yeah, I started this in December the previous year, and then during COVID, I was just like, all right, fuck my personal life. I'll just focus
Yeah,
on this instead.
just do
Um,
this.
but it's like, and I'm like, you have way more followers than me, and I'm sure you get more messages and you have more like much more obligations and stuff. But like, it is really hard to, I guess, as well, because fuck, what was I going to say there? It's hard because the phone is designed, like the apps and stuff are designed to like suck you in and keep you there. So even if you're just like, all right, I'll give myself half an hour and I'll go through some DMs, I'll reply to some people, I'll, like some comments, whatever, have a look and stuff, that quickly turns into like 3 hours.
Yeah. Uh, Full transparency, I'd say like the biggest thing I could do better just in my life in general is like when I go on there to like answer DMs, it's like I find myself scrolling and I'm like,
You're on
focus,
TikTok in
do
5 minutes. Yeah.
exactly. It's like do what you came here to do, and that's a constant work in progress for me. So
It's the
I
same
think
for
for
me
everyone,
though. Do you know what your screen time is?
dude, I don't. I don't.
He's afraid to say it.
I'll check for you. I try and
Have you got
at
like a
least keep
timer?
it.
Have you got one of those like warning? You've got 20 minutes
Yeah, I
left.
get the warnings. I don't ever like
You
look at
always
the.
ignore. Everyone
I
always
always I
ignores.
ignore the time, but I do pay. It's like if it says it's up or down and it's like down, I like by like 2%. I like give myself a high five. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. I got one yesterday saying your screen time was down 10%. And I was like, oh, nice on it. It was like, it was down to an average of 6.5 hours a day. I was like, that is a lot of time.
I I want to say that's probably in the range where I am, and then
Yeah.
I pretend that like uh like if I'm watching a YouTube video while like doing zone 2 or whatever, I just like
Oh, yeah.
pretend that like that's the majority of it. It's not me wasting time, but it definitely
Yeah.
is.
I remember one day my screen time was like 12 hours something, but it was like, I didn't realize that I thought you had to have your phone up and open, but if you have a
Yeah,
podcast playing, it counts towards, that's what I told myself anyway.
yeah. I
Um,
I set
yeah.
like the limit on Instagram, like thinking it would help me, but I just like, have you done that before?
Oh, immediately
And you
ignore
do
it.
the ignore the limit
Oh,
every single time. But
immediately. Yeah.
I only do the 15-minute ones. So then I'm like constantly pushing the stupid button.
Yeah, I used to have that and I'd ignore it and I was so shameful. I'd hide the fact that like I'd hide from my wife and then it popped up and I'd ignore it and then pretend like, no, I haven't reached my limit yet today. I'm fine. I definitely
Exactly.
didn't click ignore 3 hours ago.
Yep.
Um yeah, and you convince yourself as well that you're like sometimes it is important what you're doing, but you convince yourself you're like this is paying the bills. Like I have to start replying to this thing, and I know I'm on a random person's like Lanzarote holiday pictures from 2018, but I'm supposed to be doing something else. Uh,
Yes, I'm not the only one.
yeah. I was looking at some of your stats. So 2022, that was your first time making it to the games as a elite male individual, and you finished second in semifinals, and you
Mhm.
finished 19th in Madison, and then 2023 you finished third in semifinals, and you finished fifth in Madison. What is so like up as far as the semifinals level, it doesn't appear that there was a huge difference between year one and year two. But then when you get to the games level, there's an absolutely massive difference between year one and year two. What do you think are the big, like, what was the big changes or what were the big turnings of dials that you made at that time?
Yeah, with like semifinals, I think yeah, like there wasn't much of a difference. Honestly, I think the third was probably a little better performance just because the field was deeper.
Yeah.
Um, but in regards to the games, um, I think in 2022 it was still like the mindset of like I have to get to the games, and so that's the approach we took in training. Like I needed to be ready for semifinals, and I needed to be good at semifinals. Like that's the type of stuff I needed to be really good
Mm.
at. Where we had a lot more confidence going into this season that I would be where I needed to be at semifinals, and so we trained for the games specifically since last September or October, and like that's what we've been getting ready for, and like that's what the progressions were lined up for. That's what the weakness work was focused on what we like game style events and that was the difference in approach, I would
Look at this shit. Fucking bullshit.
say. Boom, it's gone.
Fucking asshole.
Will's always chirping everybody.
Oh, like he just can't help himself. He just
Yeah,
actually has a
just
problem.
quietly does it.
There. Well, better? Happy? Now you've ruined my confidence levels, Will. I hope you're happy. So then like if your sole focus last year was making it to the games and that was what you needed to do, so winning or not winning, but qualifying through semifinals, that was the focus or whatever. Um like did you enjoy being at the games? Did you enjoy being an adult at the games? Or was it a bit of a beatdown, or was it like, oh, I'm here now, it doesn't matter, like this is year one of the next chapter, basically?
Yeah, I think like the train. So I guess I'll correct that a little bit. Like the training approach was like I got to get to the games,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, obviously step one, get to the games because you can't do anything after that. I felt confident that I would do it, so I was obviously thinking about the games. I had goals for the games, and I was stoked to get out there and like really prove myself. And even like I thought I understand how the games works after spending like 3 years in the teenage division, but nothing really prepares you for that first year as an individual. Um, those days are much longer. the competition is much more intense. Everybody there is very, very good at what they do, and it was a bit of a beatdown. And um, I had like some back stuff after the sandbag that didn't help the final day. Just made it feel longer. Um, yeah, it was a beatdown. I would say that.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. Like, I still love being out there. As even in the moments I hate it, it's like I still enjoy it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to get out there. Um, not many people get to say that they've competed there even once, and so um, I don't take that opportunity lightly. And even in the frustrating moments, I enjoy being out there.
Yeah. Um, was it anyway? There's a little plug for my protein there because I said anyway by accident. Was it anyway disheartening or anything, or were you like, was the fire still lit afterwards, or was there any period where you were like, fuck it, like, can I, go again, and will I do better if I go again?
Yeah, it was pretty. I was pretty disappointed. Just like things were not playing out how I wanted and I expected of myself. Um, and yeah, like I definitely was not motivated to be like back in the gym anytime soon. And there was a lot of time like making sure my body was right and fixing a couple things we needed to fix in the off season. So it took a while to get to the point where I was like really training and like really trying to get after it. And um,
Was that different than other years? Like every other year, were you like straight away, like, yeah, okay, let's go?
uh, like in the teenage division, you saying?
Yeah,
Um, dude, teens are crazy. Like I sometimes I don't know. Like I just spent like hours and hours like in the gym. When I was out of the gym, it was all CrossFit. Like it was crazy. Um, they
do
just
you,
have
do you
less
mean do you mean like
responsibilities.
consuming content and stuff, like watching CrossFit
Yeah,
as well as? Oh,
it was
and
like
do you not do that anymore now?
no, like I think I've watched like at least up until 2019, I watched every piece of content CrossFit had put out, like deep diving through it all. Like whenever I was like stretching and stuff, and now it's like I really don't want to watch cross. Like it's different now because it's like all my buddies now. Like that's what the
Yeah, yeah.
content's getting put out. It's like I don't want to watch Jason or Pat talk about
I
like
don't. I don't.
I still
Yeah,
I still watch some of it, but it's like I was like just texting them. Like I don't really want to watch that.
yeah, yeah. It's like I barely want to see Jason in real life. Never mind watch a
Ex-
video of him. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
that's fair.
Um,
Um, do you
yeah.
watch any of the stuff that you're in? Like any, say, external, like not your own stuff?
Uh, yeah. Sometimes, like if I also like to watch it if like I'm working with a sponsor. Like we created some YouTube videos with Thrival, and they were like posted on their YouTube channel. But I wanted to make sure that they came out in a way that what I was saying and what I was portraying is like what's being seen. And so I do watch those and I pay attention. And I definitely this year I didn't pay attention to as much of the talk about the games leading into the games. And I think that was helpful. I was just focusing on me.
Had you done that last year? Had you watched
Yeah,
loads of
I
stuff?
like uh, every interview with everybody, like the predictions, just because I had to set like this year I had to separate the fan of the sport that's inside me and
Yeah.
the competitor, and I realized like they were kind of butting heads, and so I was just like, even though you love the sport and you love the CrossFit Games as a fan as well, like I just think it's such a cool thing, and I'm a fan of athletes, and I just had to separate that.
Did you last year when you were going at the games? Did you go into workouts thinking, "Oh, I'm going to win this workout," or "I'm going to do really well at this workout," and then not do well, or were you kind of like, "Oh, let's just see how it goes," like say in 2022?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Because I'm assuming this year you did go in thinking, "All right, this is mine," or like, "Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
um, yeah, last year. Like I knew I'd do well on like the ski swim one, and I did do well. But there
mm,
were plenty of other examples where it's like I knew I wouldn't do great, but I did like terrible.
yeah,
And
okay.
then there were times where I was like, I think I could get like a top 10, and it's like middle of the pack. And it's just like uh, those moments when you feel like you're moving in slow motion and you're just like looking around and everyone's going so fast. Uh, it's like that's what I felt the first year at semifinals, and then that's what I felt the first year at the games.
And this year then, was it different? Like, were you, like, did you feel yourself in it? Even, I know physically you're different, like you're getting stronger and all the rest as the years go by, but like mentally, did you feel a change?
Yeah, it's like it's almost like the opposite. Like on certain events, um, like it seems like other people are moving in slow motion, where you're like completely immersed in the moment, um, and like you feel unstoppable. It's like I can go. Like I think Jeff said that during Helen. Like, and that's a perfect example. Like he made that look so easy, and like everyone else probably looked like it was they were moving in slow motion, and he was just cruising. And so yeah, I think that adds a lot of momentum if you can experience moments like that.
Yeah. Were you surprised about, um, say, Mal and Haley and was it Olivia as well? Like, say last year, all came out and said, "Yeah, like I'm finished. Like the pressure's too much. I'm going to take a break and that kind of stuff." Because like you obviously came through at a similar time to those guys, and Emma as well, and both just like have carried on. Like, do you understand like what they're talking about? Have you felt similar kind of burnout issues or similar, like maybe teetering on the edge of, oh, do I need to pull back a bit, or is it just dependent on the person? Do you think?
Yeah, I think I had my moment, and like I talked about with like COVID. So like timeline, my last year of the games was 2019, early 2019, getting ready for the season, and I like remember driving home from school and I saw all my buddies playing like playing long toss on the football field, getting ready for the season. All the kids like all these guys I grew up playing baseball with, like all my best buddies, and we kind of like grew apart at the time because I was spending all my time in the gym, and I just really missed it, and I just wanted to be out there with my friends, and so I ended up playing baseball spring of 2019, and I played football my senior year in the fall of 2019. And I think those gave me like a little bit of a break from CrossFit that I needed, and that's just kind of like how I dealt with the slight burnout and like the stress of transitioning from teenage to individual. And honestly, like not even just speaking to like the female competitors that were teens and stuff. I think female competitors in general go through a lot with when it comes to social media and uh, people outside always commenting their opinions, and I think that can really wear on them. And I know that's not easy to handle. And um, I've seen like I've been around a lot of females in the sport as well as males, and um, yeah, I think that those are all things that could play into it. Like and like I said, teenagers are crazy. Like we're all in on this stuff, and we're too young to understand what balance really looks like, and making sure that we are still living life and enjoying life and having fun doing it.
I guess as well when you, because um, okay, nothing's easy, but it's easier to make the transition from teenage female into adult elite female. Whereas the males, you guys are kind of forced to take a break from
Yeah.
actually making it to the games because it's just not going to happen. Like it
Yep.
hasn't happened to any male competitor yet. Um, but like you kind of had this enforced break then as well, where you didn't have the same pressure. It was just like, all right, just keep getting better. And then in maybe this year, but probably next year, we'll have another run and see what happens or whatever. So if you're, if you don't get that enforced break because of your lack of, reaching that level quickly enough, if you're automatically just shot down onto the next conveyor belt and it's straight away, it's like, all right, now you're in the fucking big leagues and you have to go and it's, you got to move.
Yeah, I would say during like that last year and like the year where I wasn't doing anything, I probably learned the most about like myself and how to approach uh, training for the games. Because like, don't get me wrong, um, it does consume both mine and Corinne's life. Like, but just understanding, I look at it this way: like, there's balance in a day, and there's balance in like a month, and there's balance in a year, and there's balance in a life. And so like I try and find something each day that maybe like pulls away from it, even if it's mid season. Like we just need something to stay fresh. If there's one day a month in the middle of the season where I get to kind of like step away and do something, and then when it comes to the year, like we have these 2 to 4 months, depending on what the seasons looks like and all of that, where we can create that balance, and then For me, like I look at it like as a life balance as well. Like I've only got a certain amount of time in the sport, and me and Corinne talk about that a lot, and we want to take advantage of that. And it's the balance isn't going to look the same to a lot of people, especially on the outside. But one day, like I hope to reap the rewards of our focus and attention to detail and just grinding.
Yeah. It's kind of as well, it's like, is it actually any different than someone who has, because like I'm a teacher, so I'm a bit spoiled where like my wife's a teacher as well, and we both finish at whatever, like 3 p.m. Like we're both home from half three or
Hmm.
3:30. Sorry, Americans. We're both
I
home from
got you.
like 3:30. And my kids are home then as well. And then, but like, there's people who live like literally just right now. It's what time is it? 20 to 9, and a car just drove in next door. Like obviously coming home from work. So it's
Yeah.
like it is that thing of like, oh, professional athlete, and it's so time consuming, blah blah. But if you're like a fucking investment banker or whatever, and or if you're like a stocks trader or some like just high pressure job where it's like, or if you just work for a shit boss and you can't like
Yeah.
get away, like it is. I think it is something that is the physical side of it isn't really relatable to a lot of people. I don't think, like the pressure that you have to put yourself under to constantly try to get better. And there might be days where you're training on your own, or you might be training with part of a group and stuff, and you still have to have the same type of intensity, I suppose. Whereas the mental side of it is something I think people can relate to, where you have pressure of like, oh shit, I need to get this fucking project or whatever finished, but I also need to do, like I'm editing a video and I'm like, oh, I need to edit this. But then it's like, oh, I feel bad though, because like my wife's just sitting on the couch. So maybe I should just go and spend time with her. But I also need to do this video. And there is that kind of like, on a
Hmm.
way, way smaller scale, that kind of payoff
No,
where
I
you're
don't think
like,
it's even like even a smaller scale. Like that's stuff I think everyone experiences, no matter like what the occupation or job or what they're striving to do.
hmm. Did you talk to anyone about like when you're feeling like that about your burnout and stuff? Did you talk to your parents and stuff, or did you just kind of deal with it yourself?
Yeah, I think I talked with them some about that, and honestly, like Cooper and Matt have been like they're my agent and coach, but they've been mentors since I was
Yeah,
young. So like just talking to them, and they talked me through it. Like I asked Matt what he thought about me playing baseball and football that last year, and he like urged me to do it. He's like, "Yes,
yeah,
please go do it. Like we'll figure out training. If you're training 3 days a week, that's 2 days a week. Like that's fine. Like go do it." So,
that's
um,
cool.
yeah, they were super helpful and just good dudes.
Um, What about the environment then at Brute? So it was you guys all kind of moved at a similar time where some of you did. So you, Emma, and James kind of all went down at a similar time, and then Danielle kind of followed after, and she was already around there, wasn't she? Isn't she like
She
Florida
she
based?
came down a lot, but she moved about this maybe just after Danielle. But like she
Yeah.
would spend like a couple weeks down here at a time, so she was around a lot.
And when I was talking to Matt in Miami or in Madison, he was saying that it's usually you, James, and Danielle that train together on training days. Is that right?
Yeah, so Emma and Fee will go in for like we have a small gym, so we just have to like just what we have to do. We have to kind of split
Mm.
up. Emma and Fee will go in, and then the three of us will go in. Emma and Fee will come back, and then the three of us will come back.
Okay.
So
And do you leave through different doors, or do you talk to each other when you're leaving?
most of us. It depends on the time of the year, right? No, everyone's good. It's fun. It was always a blast when we would do like big outdoor sessions when it could be all five of us or like running sessions and it's fun.
Detentions ever run high?
Yeah, not in a way that was like uh
Damaging or whatever.
yeah, or like aggressive towards anyone or any of that, but like we're all competitors. Like we're all friends, but we're all competitors, and we're all striving for the same thing. When you got a bunch of high performers in an individual sport, um, like whether people keep it internal or it comes out externally, tensions do get high, and that's fine.
Um, is it easier uh training with James when you're vying for like podium, and he's like currently like, oh, I need to make it through the cuts, and you're at that kind of different stage? Like he's kind of similar to where you were last year.
Yeah.
at the games, whereas you're a step ahead. Like, do you think it'd be harder to train with him consistently and be friends with him consistently and stuff if you were both like fifth and sixth or fourth and fifth?
I actually don't with James. Maybe it's someone else. But James and I have been friends for so long, and we're um, like, don't get me wrong, we both like, and when there's something like I know I should beat him in, and he gets me, like little stuff like that, like, and vice versa. Like I know he feels the same way. Like it's like, wow, they've been working really hard at this. I'm happy for him, but like I'm never letting that happen again. And like we're both very aware of like the two of us and how we work and uh, yeah, I think it would be different if it was someone else, but me and James have a great relationship and we're able to make it work and it doesn't. I'm trying to think of the words.
Doesn't impact.
Yeah, it doesn't impact like our focus in the gym, and we're both able to move on to the next thing. Like it's still just training. You can't win training. So
Yeah, yeah, you can, but yeah, I take your point. You can't at your level, but you can
yeah,
at every other level below you. Um, the did you hear the rumors recently about changes at Brute, that like people were leaving and moving, and that like people were moving to Vegas and people were like leaving Brute altogether and going somewhere else? Did you hear any of that?
yeah, we're all moving up to Jacksonville. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hear
but
people talk, but I mean, I hear people talk. Honestly, I haven't spoke to everybody. Everyone's like Danielle's in London. She's been in California. Emma's in Europe somewhere. James is back home. I'm going home. We've all been traveling. Like everyone's in their off season, and people are just going to talk. But some of that stuff, those rumors would be news to me. So
okay, so you're saying with Brute and Matt anyway.
yeah, we drove. Everyone else is gone, so it's like literally just Matt, Corinne, and I in Naples, and we drove up to Jacksonville yesterday to check out a gym and look at some houses and that type of stuff.
Okay, so it's like putting down roots.
Yeah, yeah.
And are you expecting James to come back in a couple of weeks then, whenever you come back?
James is spending a little bit longer back home.
Whereas he's up
Uh,
near he lives near Cole, doesn't he? He trains at Cole a bit. He lives up in
yeah, in like
yeah,
Spokane, Washington, Idaho,
yeah.
up in the northwest corner. But the way like his lease worked out and stuff, I think it like just ended, and we're trying to figure out this move, and it was just like way easier for him to just
Just
wait and
wait
get
till
a
it's
new
settled
lease.
and
Yeah,
yeah, okay, that's cool. All right, so that's two. Are you expecting Danielle to come back as well?
yeah, yeah. I mean, last I heard,
Okay.
uh,
So tick tick
but
tick. All right, we're working our way
yeah,
through. We've got tick tick tick.
yeah.
And what about the other two girls then? Are you so is it difficult to be close with say Emma and Fee? And I don't mean I disrespect either of them, or I don't assume that you guys would clash. But if you're regularly training with Danielle and James and they're regularly training together, like is it not difficult to be close, but is it kind of hard to maintain a relationship if you only see each other sporadically and like and under kind of unusual circumstances as well? Because I'm assuming if you train with Danielle and James a lot, you also like finish at the same time and might go and get lunch together or might go
Yeah.
and whatever chill out together. But you kind of miss that opportunity with those two girls.
No, I would argue. I would argue no. Maybe like the month and a half before the games, but I think I get distant with everyone. Like I just don't
Yeah.
talk much. Um, but like in the off season and like right now, like uh, there's way more overlap just with the type of training we're doing.
Okay.
It's not as crucial that we separate because we're not doing like handstand ramp and lunges, like where everyone's doing like strength work or monostructural stuff. So like we can all be in the gym at the same time. And session twos, like everyone's usually there. And when we're all playing games or pickleball, like I would say I'm just as close with everybody
That's cool.
in general. Like sometimes I see more people just based on the time of year and training. But yeah,
So if Emma or Fee weren't coming back, they also would have told you that they're not coming
yeah,
back.
yeah. I talk with
But they,
everybody quite a bit.
but they didn't say that.
No,
Okay, yeah. I just
yeah,
want to be clear. I just want to clear
no,
stuff.
yeah.
That's all. Okay. The off season then. So you're going. Yeah. Are you going to Birmingham? Are you going to that Fit Fest thing?
I am. Yeah,
That's cool. That's in December.
I'm excited.
So that's like it's I'll get it up. It's basically that's what he said. It's basically I'm so sorry.
That's solid.
It's
That was good.
yeah, I'm
That's
actually
good.
proud of how quickly that came out. That's what he said.
Yeah,
I did it again.
yeah. I was gonna say.
Um where is the present? This is like classic Caleb scenario for me here. Um so yeah, this FitFest is like a thing in Birmingham in the UK, and it's actually really cool. So they've got I'm not even being paid to say this. They've got so you guys are coming, like you, Brent, Danielle, your dad. There's your dad there.
Yep, Daddy
You guys are
Pat.
you guys are coming with more to be announced. Oh shit! I went to the next post. God, I'm such a fucking amateur. There, yeah. So they've also got Sid Strength and Depth are putting on a competition, and Athletics Games are putting on a competition, and the English Weightlifting Championships are on, and the British Indoor Rowing Championships are on. So they're all on the same time, which is really cool. But yeah, it's Fit Fest, and it's in the same. Do you ever watch Crufts, the
No.
dog show? It's in the same place. Have you never seen Crufts like ever? Have you heard of it?
Uh, maybe I've seen it like that, like the dog show, like where they run
Yeah,
through
yeah,
hoops and. Okay,
yeah,
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 yeah. I've seen it. I never knew what it's called, but
yeah. It's like a big deal. I don't know, but it's all in the same place that is. So
oh, cool.
you'll be trotted out like a Labrador.
That's like
Um,
that's like a legendary spot. Then I should really
yeah,
soak
yeah.
it in.
Um, it'll probably smell a bit weird. No, I'm sure they clean
That's
it.
all right.
That's cool though. So you're coming over for that, and you're going to do. It's like an exhibition, basically. Is it? You guys are basically just doing like a exhibition workouts against each other. I suppose. Is that right?
Yeah, from my understanding, it'll be like one day of individual and one day of like a six-person team.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'll only say the people that I saw in those pictures that are on my team, just in case I'm not supposed to. But
Yeah.
it'll be like me and Danielle and Alexis. I
Okay.
know
Yeah.
we were all on one of those pictures, and then
Yeah.
there's some other people that'll be on our team. I don't want to
Okay.
spoil that for them. So,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'll be at that as well. I think so. I'll see you at that. That'll be cool.
sick. That'll be awesome.
And you're doing fingers crossed Rogue then
Yeah.
in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Wadapalooza. Those invites went out, didn't they?
I haven't seen anything
Oh
from
shit!
Wadapalooza.
Some
No, I
did.
didn't
Some
make it.
did.
Well, hopefully someone invites me on their team then, because that's all I'm doing. But
Yeah. Would you do it again with Jason and James? Did you enjoy that?
yeah, we'd run it back. I think it depends on. So I was only planning on individual last year, and then I got roped into
Was
doing
it Cole
team.
was supposed to do it? Was it? And he dropped out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
he wasn't able to make it, so I stepped in and did that, and that was hard. I thought that they would be like I thought with the amount of people that were doing both, like the programming wouldn't overlap.
They might be
It,
soft. They might
they
take things a
might
bit
be a
further.
little nicer, and
Yeah.
it was hard, especially for like where I was in the season. It's like I was not ready for that type of volume and intensity. So I'll just be doing team, and then I don't know what James's plans are, but like I probably would tell him like, hey, you got to pick one or the other because it's not worth it.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard as well, though, I guess, similar to the sponsors thing. Like when you have all these opportunities, it's hard not
Yeah,
to be like, well, I might never get to do this again, or I
yeah,
only have a few years or whatever. Yeah, it's tricky.
yeah.
And what else then? Have you any other competitions in mind? Like, would you do any other qualifiers, or is that enough? Do you think?
Yeah, I think that's plenty. Like if I like with Rogue, that's another big one. And then kind of like the thing in Birmingham's more of like a showcase fun
Hmm.
thing, and then Wadapalooza team, like whoever I show up with, they better be ready to try and win. But like we're not peaking for that, so
Yeah, that's fair. Where do you go from there then? Like, so you finished fifth last year, or this year. Is it as easy as just saying, I need to be better than fifth next year? Is it that? Is it too difficult to say that in this sport? Do you think?
no, I don't think so. I'm trying to get on the podium, you know,
Okay.
not just like fourth. Like fourth is great, but like try and get on that podium. No one remembers who got fourth. Sorry, Brent. And fifth. Like I can say that I'm one spot lower.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna edit you out saying and fifth. So I'm just gonna
yeah,
chop it out.
yeah.
Sorry, Brent.
Just chop it out. Yeah, that's obviously the goal and what we're aiming for. But I just gotta just continue to fill up those weaknesses and holes and show up fitter than I was last year.
Do you? I know you're saying you don't take in content and stuff. Do you ignore all the noise about the season then as well? Like, do you ignore the fact that it might not, like, that it's going to be somewhere else other than Madison and that it might not look the same? And do you just like not pay any attention to it?
No, that stuff I do like to be involved in. I promised Brent that I'd be active in the PFA, and like that stuff matters. Like we're trying to professionalize this thing, uh, and so I do pay attention to that stuff, and I like to know those things just so I can plan in my head and have an idea of what's going on. But it's more the predictions from the 30
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
analysts that want to like it's fun to like look at it after, like see where people put all of us, and like yeah. But I try not to pay too much attention.
Yeah, there definitely is not 30 analysts in this
Yeah, I
sport.
made that up,
I
bro.
will say that.
I
Yeah,
like to.
it's way over. Definitely not 30 worth listening to anyway.
Yes.
So then you're going home now. You're going back to Florida before Rogue, and then continue on from there. Is that the plan?
Yeah, we got a little. I'm gonna go visit Jason too in between there.
Very
We're
good.
gonna go. We're gonna
In
hang out for a little bit.
in Crash.
Yeah, I'll be at Crash.
Oh, that's cool. Are you going there
Yeah.
for when Crucible is on or no?
No, I think because Crucible's in October.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going just before that, I think. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
JR is coming on in a couple of weeks actually to talk about Crucible, so that's exciting.
he's a he's a good dude. He's a smart
Yeah,
dude.
a very smart dude. Like, yeah, overwhelmingly smart, and he doesn't make you think he is before he starts talking, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Oh,
He knows
November.
his stuff.
Will is correcting us. It's in November, not
Oh
October.
yeah. Well.
Um, he's not going well. Get over it. Either way. Um, the other thing I want to talk to you about is so I've noticed a noticeable change when we met each other. Well, I saw you, so you were on my show. And I don't mean any disrespect to you. I think I've said this to you
Say it.
already anyway.
I
But
know. I already know what's coming.
I don't mean any disrespect to you. But so you were on Savan's show, and it was a slog of a watch. Like it was a hard watch.
That's one I haven't rewatched.
And you were on mine, and it was difficult. Like you know, Blood from a Stone kind of comes to mind. Of like, you know, I remember thinking like, oh, he's a really nice guy, and he's really well put together, but like he's too mature. Like his answers,
Yeah.
I don't know, are his answers genuine or like if taken from a book of like interview answers for sports stars or something.
Yeah.
And I remember I put your episode in half and half with Lauren Fisher because same, I just couldn't get anything out of it. Like, that's probably my
Yeah.
fault. I just couldn't fucking get anything
No,
out of her.
no, that's not you.
So I put the two of you guys together. And then I saw you on Savans and I was like, okay, that's like, I was reassured that I was like, okay, he's obviously just like warming up and he's just getting used to it and stuff. Then I saw you on Savans again and I was like, fuck, okay, like he's really like leaning into himself here. He's really like opened up a bit and he's chatty and stuff. And then I spoke to you in Big Dane at the GoWad, their activation there. And I was like, geez, like, first of all, like you approached me, you were talking to me, you were like, this all seems like basic stuff, but from the Dallin that I met initially, obviously in different circumstances, but I had a camera on you in Big Dane as well. But you were like initiating conversations, you were laughing, joking, chatting, you were talking honestly and openly about stuff that I was asking you about. Has that been a conscious shift? Do you think it's because you've spent more time around this kind of stuff, or have you had a talk with yourself of like, all right, I need to actually just be myself a bit more?
Yeah, definitely a conscious effort to do that. I think both for me personally and just like trying to grow my brand, like if that's what you want to call it. I just stopped. I think I stopped caring how people perceive me as much, and genuinely like I think I'm like a cool guy, like fun. I'm quieter. I'm like pretty.
Dallin, you cannot say that about yourself. You cannot call yourself a cool guy.
A cool guy. I know. I'll say I'm pretty like vanilla. Like I think Savan called me that. But like I don't know. I just want people to see that like I can joke, have a good time. I'm fun to be around.
Yeah.
And I think I just like kind of just relaxed and really the biggest thing I would say is like I'm more confident in who I am and like who I'm trying to be and that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Someone said that you need I can't find it. Oh, there's one. Dallin needs another card.
Yeah.
And Nick said, fuck, I should have just pulled it up at the time. But Nick said basically that you need another card as well. I'm
Let's get one.
never going to find it because I actually stood up. I stood up at one point to take down my cards because I was like, "Oh, I have a Dallin card," and I'll show it, and I actually don't.
What the heck? Wad Zombie.
I have one. I have one of your dad, and
Yes.
I have one of your best friend, but I don't have one of you. And I thought I had a Daniel Brand. I must, unless I have more somewhere else, but I don't know. I can't find them anyway. But yeah, I would agree that. Look at this, a cool guy. Can we get that on a
Cool
T-shirt?
guy.
I'm a
I'm
cool
a cool
guy.
guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll phrase that differently next time, I guess. If that's
Yeah.
not what
No,
cool
I mean
guys say.
it takes like you're leaning into being yourself, and like not many people would say out loud, I'm a cool guy.
Yeah,
But it obviously maybe it just takes a cooler guy than I am to out loud say I'm a cool guy.
yeah, yeah.
That's all.
I'll say it again. I'm just when I finally get an interview at the games, I'll be like, I'm a cool guy. That's what I'll say, and I'll walk off.
Did you not get asked anything this year?
No, I have this thing where I win the final event and no one cares because they just want to talk to the person who won the competition.
Oh man. Do you notice that at the time?
uh, Only because it's like a joke because I've won the last event at Wadapalooza the last 2 years, and then I won the final at semis and then the games. And so now it's kind of like a running joke. So like I was waiting to kind of like see because I was like everyone's giving me a hard time about it before. But I really don't care that much.
Yeah. It'd be funny if you sent it, like no matter what was happening in the competition, just on the last workout every time. Just like absolutely obliterated it, regardless of what was happening,
Hey,
just to keep it going.
if we keep getting echo bike and thrusters and stuff,
Yeah. It
I'll,
probably will
I'll
be as well for the spectacle.
yeah. And like I wouldn't hate winning events earlier in the week, but we'll work on that too.
Yeah. Daniel says Danielle's chocolate chip cookie dough with rainbow sprinkles perfectly balances Dallin's vanilla. There's definitely salt and some kind of nut in Danielle's as well, I'd say. But yeah, I take your point. Listen, thanks. Thanks for coming on. It's been great to catch up with you. It's really great seeing you come into your own just as a person, and then your athletic, successes as well are fantastic. Congratulations on a big year, and best of luck with Rogue and Wadapalooza, and I'll see you in Birmingham.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
My absolute pleasure. It's always a pleasure.